Sometimes a person is distracted, and sometimes maybe they are a little bit mean. And we can either come apart, or we can actually choose to be wise. Well, Sarah came apart at that moment and banished Hagar. And then sometimes when we're in that situation where we are really suffering, and there are people who've said, I need to get justice in my marriage or at my workplace or some other person. And sometimes I say, justice sometimes feels like vengeance, and sometimes getting justice doesn't really solve anything. It creates more problems. The person says, so what should I do? Just be a doormat? Let people treat me any way I want? I say, it's not really a doormat. It's actually called forbearance. It's actually a great moral virtue to say to yourself, well, this is a bad situation, and that person's acting badly. I'm not going to add to it. I'm going to go ahead and suffer, and I'm going to create inner sturdiness, inner resilience, and we're going to get through this, not because they're acting in a wise manner, because I'm going to act in a wise manner. So people say to me, well, why do I have to do it? And I say, because you're the one talking to me, right? Somebody reached out and said, how do I get through this? And I said, well, you're the person. And the person says, it's always me. I say, that's how it turns out. That's part of the tragedy of life. Sometimes one person gets to act out, and the other person has to decide payback or wisdom. And sometimes it's a daily decision. So when God says, hit ani, you go ahead and be mistreated by this woman because there's something greater at stake. You have to go back. So then the angel says, by the way, this child that you're carrying is going to be a great and mighty nation. Now we have a little sense of what's at stake here. And Hagar gives, she acts truly in a manner of prophecy. If you want to go to chapter 16, you can go with me there, but I'll read it aloud to you. So after this moment, Hagar says, and this is chapter 16, verse 13 on pages 32 and 33 in your green Bibles. She says, Vatikra Shem Adonai Hadover Eleha. And she spoke to the name of God, which is speaking to her. Now, by the way, when it says Shem Adonai, the name of God, remember the way that the word Shem, name, is used in the Bible? It sometimes means the apprehendability of God, how God is presenting God's self. So we could think about this differently. And she called the way that God was presenting God's self, as God would speak to her, Ata El Roi, you're the God who sees me. You're the God who sees me. Another deeply profound moment. Because sometimes when people say to me, I pray to God, oftentimes people think, well, prayer is bakasha, prayer is petition. And I say to people, I rarely petition God. In a moment of great crisis, great fear, of course, I don't edit myself and not issue petitions from my heart, but my deepest prayer is that I want God to see me. I think the deepest thing is, if we know that we matter to God, if our suffering makes a difference to God, that God knows that we're suffering with dignity, with forbearance. Somehow just that sense of being seen by God can be healing in and of itself, which is, I think, another one of the greatest gifts we can give each other, is to actually see another person and not to try to solve people. Sometimes when people come with something really hurting with them, we say, oh, okay, I'll tell you what to do. Sometimes they actually don't need us to tell them what to do. They need us just to hear, to be, as it were, a manifestation of that God who sees. So Hagar says, you are the God who sees. Ata El Roi, you're the God who sees me. And what a deeply transformative moment that can be for her to experience that. And then there's this odd phrase in Hebrew, not easy to translate, where she says, Amra, Hagam halom ra'iti acharei roi, even over there I saw after I was seen. Halom, over in that place, that difficult place, that horrible place, ra'iti, I saw, I think means I understood. Because you've seen me, now I can see. So that sense of being seen is a very deep affirmation as a human being. Someone has actually seen you. They're not telling you what to do. They're not trying to solve you. They just have seen you. And then you say, now I can see. Something about the compassion, you might say in the purposeful, intentional presence of another person, helps remove our own pain that can sometimes be a prism and a prison of our own eyesight.
Shalom, sim, shalom, sim, shalom, tova uveracha. Sim, shalom, sim, shalom, sim, shalom, tova uveracha. Ay, 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 ay. sim, 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 shalom, sim, sim, sim.